Test check. Okay, cool. Yeah,
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great. As long as you can hear me. That's
Can you hear me hearing you?
Oh my, I can. Wow, that was crazy.
Nice. We're going?
Are we rolling? We're
Oh.
rolling.
Wasn't as ready as I thought I was.
Yeah. Season 2.
What's up with it? What's up with it?
Unrehearsed fam.
Back with it.
It's your girl Mo, your girl Moriana, your girl AKA. No, I'm just kidding.
Mo Dollar.
Hi, Mo Dollar.
Mo Dollar sign.
Come on.
What's up with it? It's your boy DaeShawn Forrest. Appreciate y'all tuning back into another episode of Unrehearsed. We keeping it going, staying consistent as always. Consistent with the product upgrade, the technical upgrade.
Yeah.
Shout out to Brandon behind all of the cameras.
Let's go,
Shout
B.
out to Ricky
Let's go,
behind the
Ricky.
boards, the mixing
Ricky.
boards, making sure we sound dope.
Yes.
Shout out to Chris who's editing this joint.
Thank you, Chris.
We appreciate you, dog.
Yes.
Appreciate you in all three camera angles. This one is an interesting one.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, this is pretty coincidental at the day that we're shooting this. It's going to come out way later, but the day that we're shooting this, Father's Day is tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And dog, interesting that
Mike,
we would
who's
end up
actually
doing
celebrating their fathers? Raise your hand. Okay.
Not trying to make
2 out of 4.
Not trying to make anyone feel out of place.
50%
But
of the room right now.
I remember when I wrote this idea down. I remember on the first season somewhere, some episode, I believe we hinted at it a few times about like just the difference between, or just like the impact coming from a happy home or a broken home, how that can have on a person. I can't remember in which context that we talked about it.
I feel like I probably brought it up.
Did you?
Yeah, I think I brought it up as a joke because I feel like you're always like, oh yeah, and because we were talking and I was like, you know what, I always forget that you have 2 parents because I feel like statistically usually like, you know.
You said that on an episode?
No, not on an episode. This is just like outside of episode conversations, like just us talking.
Oh.
You're saying we brought it up on an episode?
I think so, or at least kind of hinted at it. I know you and I have talked about it personally.
Yeah, I don't know about an episode.
Really?
Yeah, nothing comes to my head. Like remembering, like, oh yeah, we talked.
No, yeah, because we did. not us forgetting what we did, but like, what did we did a relationship episode.
Yes.
And then they probably was hinted on that episode.
Yes. Okay.
Somebody.
Yes. No, that is true.
Something.
I think it was probably me because I was like, you know, girls like be wildin', you know, fatherless homes. Oh, we did.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember now. He's right.
Now it's all coming back. There's probably somebody in the comments that has it more memorized than we do.
Yeah, right.
Probably
I know.
somebody,
like,
which
you
is
said this.
hilarious.
Like my brother-in-law Jimmy, maybe.
But yeah, I definitely wanted to dive in on this one. Completely coincidental that we end up doing it on the day before Father's Day.
Yeah.
Just look at that. How about that? But it's definitely there's a thing happening. It's been happening for a long time where it's like, you know, someone can come from a broken home and then it just kind of they pass it on down in a sense. That's all that they know. Like if you.
Yeah, I was like, can you give us an example of a broken home? Because I feel like a lot of people say that, but I'm always like, what does that mean?
So this is how the family structure has changed over time in American society. I don't know about abroad, but I just know about an American society. At one point, there was, you know, husband, wife, you know, children, as you'd expect. But now
it's husband, wife.
The whole baby father type thing. There's some. How can I put this in a way?
Are you talking about like there's no more nuclear families, or what are you talking about?
When you said nuclear, I went straight to bomb. So
yeah, well, nuclear family is the husband, wife, and the kids.
Yeah, I'm not saying there's no more of that, but I feel like there's been an attack on that because. One, the first thing that God instituted was the family structure. You know, fine. I'm at risk of that just about every episode.
Come on. No, seriously, you are. Okay.
But that's one thing that that God first created. You know, when he made Eve, he brought Eve to Adam and said, this is your wife. That's the start of it right there.
Yeah.
And over time, there has been things that would happen that not necessarily promote broken homes, but kind of desensitizes us to it, and we kind of lose the value, or at least lose the significance and the importance of keeping that family structure together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, for example, some men would easily run out on the kids,
Mm-hmm.
or
They'd be
run
like, oh,
out,
I'm gonna go get some milk real quick. Don't
something like that. Or in that case, for example, even with like government assistance, if there's like certain government assistance, you have to fit within a certain, for lack of a better word, category in order to get that government assistance. The first thing they're going to check is whether or not there's a man in the home. If there's a man in the home, you probably won't get that government assistance.
Can we stop right now? Shout out to you single mothers who are raising your children by yourselves. Like, shout out to y'all. Come on.
Shout out.
Y'all deserve so much more than what y'all are given. So I just want to take a moment to acknowledge y'all and just to say thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We appreciate y'all.
So bringing it back, I'd say all of that to say bringing it back to the topic at hand.
And single fathers. I'm so sorry.
Father's Day is
I
tomorrow.
grew up right. Happy Father's Day to the fathers, single fathers. Like, we appreciate y'all as well, raising your children and doing what you got to do.
All the parents doing what they need to do, holding it down. But the effect of having a broken home as a child, coming up with, not having a father, or having a father, but maybe he's not.
Like, he's absent. Like, he's physically there, but
he's either absent, or he maybe is not a stand-up guy. Maybe he's getting into a lot of trouble.
Maybe he's like a deadbeat, as they would say.
A deadbeat, same or vice versa, rather, with with the mom.
Yeah.
The impact that it has on the children is something that I believe is not brought up enough, because it's like we've become desensitized to it, when originally that's not how things were supposed to go.
Right.
And not according to, what God would have for us. And, we become desensitized to it, and then, next, we create art about it.
Yeah.
So now we talk about it and glorify it a little bit more in the music, or in film, maybe on BET or whatever, or just whatever. And it creates this feeling of, oh, that's the norm.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I'm glad you brought it up.
When it's not supposed to be that way, ideally.
Yeah, because arguably, I don't think we're so much desensitized, but I just think it has become such a norm that it's like, oh, your dad beat your mom too? Like, all right, I'm not alone. And then it's just kind of like, well, it is what it is. You know?
And I think we also even brought up, like, oh no, I think we also
I just be going to extremes, y'all. My brain is just like, boop.
It happens out there. But we've also brought it up on the last season. We talk about, like, the divorce rates.
Yeah.
How most marriages fail.
Yeah.
So if most marriages fail, if we're continuing with that assumption, then you're more likely to find broken homes than homes.
That was good.
And what I mean by broken homes, I mean homes where a non-broken home would be mother's there, father's there, they're happy in love, kids, however many are there,
they're happy,
traditional
they're
type
getting
joint.
what they need.
Not where, oh, I'm at my mom's for this weekend, and the
Not
next
my
week
dad's for
I'm
the
at my
next
pops,
weekend.
or split between so and so. It's
Yeah.
like there's that kind of stability.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what I mean by
It's a
broken and
safe,
non-broken homes.
protective, healthy environment. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's interesting, is about Father's Day. But I thought about that because I've met people who, my age, who have not come up like how I've came up. My mom and my dad have been together over 30 years, still going strong. Pop's a hard worker. Mom's hard worker. They raised me and my brothers, and to the point where we, have been able to become a little bit more independent. And then, now they've, kind of, I guess you could say, taking their foot off the parenting gas, if you will, a little bit, because now we're older and stuff like that. I've come from that, what we're calling in this episode a happy home. And I see the impact that it's had on me, on my brothers, and how we carry ourselves and how we treat other people, and just the confidence that we may have. And then I've also seen, obviously, how, we would carry that into, like, romantic relationships with other girls and stuff like that. But then I've also, dated some, or just knew some just as friends who did not come from that. And there's, like, a major difference. And I feel like that's kind of not highlighted enough. Like, that should be addressed.
Yeah.
That's kind of my thing. Your
Dang.
thoughts?
Well, I grew up in a broken home, so forget you. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
But that's
yeah.
actually interesting that we're doing this episode because now we
Yeah,
can
like when
provide
you
something
said it,
on
I
both
was like,
sides.
so I'm definitely the broken homer because I'm like, you're the happy homer. Like you grew up with two parents. Yeah. So I guess I'll just start off with like my personal stuff.
Whatever you're comfortable with sharing.
So yeah, what'd you say?
Whatever you're comfortable with sharing.
Yeah, it shares everything. So I was born, guys, November 26, 1996. Actually, no, on a serious note, my dad was not there, like, at the hospital. So my aunt actually named me. My real name's Moriana. So my auntie was the one who gave me the name because my dad's name is Morris, so she still gave me his name, which was, like, very kind of her. And so, yeah, but as for me, y'all, I'm one of 10 siblings. Like, for those of you who don't know. So, and we're all half siblings, but, in Black family, we don't be out here, like, with that nonsense. Like, y'all brother and y'all sister.
Yeah.
And so, but we're all half siblings, but I grew up with my mom. And so, it was my mom and 5 kids. Like, so, me and, like, all of my other 4 siblings, we all grew up in a home together. There was no man. And I had a younger brother, and he was the only like boy in the house, so it was just like always chaotic. So for me, it's like the household was constantly like, I was constantly in a state of fight or flight, and it was just like, okay, like what's gonna happen next, like who's gonna start arguing first and things like that. And I was the middle child. I was the golden child, I guess you could say, because I never really I actually got bit. I'm like so sorry. I was like, what the heck? Anyways, but I was the golden child, so I purposely, like, I was just very observant, so I would see everything that was going on, and I was like, I kind of don't want to add more stress on my mom because it's already like a lot with my siblings. So let me just be, a good child, like fly under the radar, like do what I gotta do and like not stress her out even more and things like that. So yeah, so growing up in a broken home, it sucked. Like it sucks a lot. Like it really does. I feel like as you get older, you kind of start, I need to stop scratching it. I feel like as you get older, you start, I wouldn't say having this resentment, but you just start to understand, like, you don't need, like, whatever parent is absent. You just start to feel like, I actually don't need you. Like, I turned out pretty great. Like, thanks for nothing. Go ahead.
Okay, now I've heard a few who've come from that background have that same mentality. I have a question as someone who's on the other side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Is that because you actually, I guess you can't, in reality, you can't miss what you never had.
Yeah.
So, but is that kind of thing, like you just kind of learn to live without it, or is it that plus a mixture of, I guess you could say, resentment or whatever, like hurt or pain?
I would say that it's
like
both.
What is the root of that?
I would definitely say that it's both, because as for myself, like, I'm not gonna say that like I never saw my dad. Like my dad was like there, but he was very like in and out, and so so there was, like, as a child, there was always that desire in me of, like, oh, I see movies and I'm like, yeah, like, the dad, like, he protects her, like, he loves her, like, all the things, he takes her out to ice cream, all that good stuff. He tells her who she is. And so having to grow up without that, like, like, it took me a long time, but I think when I was, like, 15, like, I finally got to the place, like, I had come, like, given my life to Jesus at that point. So I'm like, I don't need an earthly father because I got a heavenly father, so bye. And so that was, like, kind of my heart's posture, because it really was, like, there was just such a desperation that I finally got to the point where I'm like, you know what, like, I'm actually a pretty good kid. Like, for a long time, like, I really thought that I needed that, but I'm like, I'm fine without it. Like, I've gotten this far without him, so why do I need him now? Like, I just feel like at first when you're a kid, like, if they start showing up more and, like, kind of, like, taking that spot, like, it doesn't feel the same. But it's like once you become a teenager, like, it's like you're a growing adult. So it just comes to the point where you're like, I don't, like, it's not a necessity
like
anymore.
Like it is what it is type
thing. And it's like I don't need it so much now because, like, I'm a lot more independent,
right.
And so, yeah. So.
So you don't ever find yourself, like, I guess kind of occasionally, since you're older now, like longing for it, like like do you feel a certain way? For example, tomorrow's Father's Day, would you feel a certain way?
Yeah, I do feel a certain way.
Okay. That's I was curious.
Yeah,
about that.
I do. Yeah, it's just like starts to cry.
Oh,
no, but like
it's been a very therapeutic
like,
season so far.
Yeah, I do feel a certain way though. I just feel that a lot of times, like, oh, I'm really gonna cry.
Okay.
I hate you.
Okay, you can take your
no,
foot off the gas.
No, it's okay. It's fine, but yeah, like it does suck,
Yeah.
because you just start to realize that like over time, I know
Go
literally
back in.
gets me
Yeah.
tissue. You just start to realize I'm fine. I'm fine. You just start to realize though that like over time, like it's just it just affects you in a lot of
Yeah.
ways that I guess you just kind of don't realize until you get older. And so I
Uh-huh.
just feel like, and maybe like this isn't for, I feel like this is for a lot of people. I do feel that when it comes to like not having a dad growing up, like as a woman, it's
Mhm.
just like you start to realize that you like have all these issues, and it's like, oh my god, like what is it, where is this coming from, like what's going on. Thank you, Ricky, love you.
Yeah. Shout out to Ricky for the
Shout out to
tissue.
Ricky. And so yeah, but it's like what's going on, like what's
Mhm.
happening, and like just being in counseling myself and like journaling, like I start to realize like dang, a lot of just the things about myself that I'm like, why do I do this? Like I realize like, oh, it comes from you not having a dad. Like that's why you think that way. That's why you feel that way. And so, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Which just shows the importance of having a father.
Yeah, it is important, but I just think
yeah.
a lot of us kind of have that attitude of like, no, like I'm good now because it's like I turned out good. Like I
Yeah.
think it'd be different if it was like, I was like in prison or something. Like I'd be like, oh, I'd be livid. I'd be like, if
Yeah.
I ever get out, like that man about to see, like and so yeah. So it definitely is. It does affect us. Like whether we want to admit it or not, it does affect us. But that doesn't mean that we grow up to be horrible people. I
Right,
think there's like a
yeah,
stigma of like like females. It's like, oh, they dad out there, like they over here in those streets. Like they 7-Elevens
Daddy
out here. You
issues.
know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah.
just like really bad. But it's like that's not necessarily the outcome. Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't think that was the outcome. But
Yeah, I know you don't,
Yeah.
but I do feel like there is that stigma,
That
like
assumption.
with that, where it's like, oh, like she didn't grow up with a dad, so like, anyways,
Oh.
yeah. So talk about what was it like growing up with the dad?
Oh, well, the importance of a father, as a stand-up father. My dad is my pastor. Mama's my first lady. So
Like his actual pastor.
yeah, I'd be at church. I'd be on that organ playing, and my dad be preaching. Been backing up my dad for years. And before my dad was my pastor, his dad, my grandfather, was the pastor of the church who actually founded the church. So big shoes right there. Big fatherhood shoes right there to fill if I ever end up becoming a dad myself. But, I mean, man, I'm beyond grateful. Father's Day's tomorrow. His gift just came in. It's an hilarious gift because I like to throw in a little joke in there on this gift.
Are you
but
gonna share with us? 'Cause
oh
I kinda
no,
wanna
it's
know.
no, I won't.
Okay, you
but
can
it's
tell me
it's something that'll make him laugh.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, because I wanted to. Another reason I want to do this episode because I feel like, at certain times, or just with the way society has gone with, the baby dad, baby mama, the broken homes. Typically, when there are broken homes, the father is not there, so it's
Yeah.
like it's less of an importance on the dad. But at the same time, the men are traditionally looked at as like the providers and like, the heads of the household. And so my experiences growing up was literally that. It's like head of the household, he's the provider, the hardest worker, and on top of that, he's a man of God. So we came up different. You know what I mean? Like Friday nights, we was at church. We wasn't out hanging with friends. Sundays, we was at church. 3-day revivals, week-long revivals at the church and stuff like that. And there's things that just, he kept us. He did what he could. He did his best, him and my mom. But since Father's Day tomorrow, we're going to shout out the fathers. He did what he did, all that he could to keep us as straight, on that straight and narrow as possible. And he is one that likes to do a lot of reading and research, and so I never forget. I think he had turned, I think it was his birthday a few years ago, and he's a real chill guy. Give him like football and a nice little, reclining chair, a bowl of popcorn, and he chilling for the whole day. He's gonna knock out. But I'll never forget on his birthday some years ago, I had asked him. Because I've learned, he always preaches to me and my brothers, like, get wisdom, get understanding, learn stuff, apply stuff. Don't be like what you see out there in the world. And so I asked him, I said, okay, Pops, it's your birthday. What is a lesson you can tell me right now? What is something that you've learned in your X amount of years of being on here. And the number one thing he said that will always stick with me is learn from other people's mistakes so that you ain't got to make them yourselves. And I was like, it wasn't my first time hearing him say that, but something about that moment really just made it stick. Like, learn from other people's mistakes so that you ain't got to go out there and make them. Yeah. And when I tell you, as kids, we came up, at least speak for myself, I came up with that mentality. My friends would go off and do certain things and get in trouble, and that thought would come to mind, like, you see how I played out for them, don't you go down that path. My friends would, maybe some would cut school or cut class, or would drink or do drugs or smoke or even speed or just hang out in the wrong parts of the city, and certain things would happen to them. And then I'm thinking about my pops, learn from other people's mistakes so that you ain't got to go out there and make them. So when friends would be like, hey, yo, Sean, you trying to go whoop-de-whoop? You trying to go here? You trying to stay out till X amount of time at night, midnight past that? I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'll hang with y'all for a little bit, but y'all trying to go there, I'm going to go ahead and cut. I'll catch up with y'all next time and stuff like that. And the amount of trouble it saved us from experiencing. Like, I known people who've been shot and killed, childhood friends. I've known people who were drug addicts, admitted, like, yeah, Sean, I've been on drugs for years. I've known people who've dealt. I've known people who've went to jail. I've known people who, you name it. I've known people who done turned prostitution or like just you name it. And because of the teachings of my dad, and also being smart enough to be like, well, let me listen. Because, as a kid, most times you're not really going to understand. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You're just trying to hang with your friends and this, whatever. But being smart enough to listen, it's like, it's a huge difference in me and some of the peers that I've known throughout the years, because my dad raised me and my brothers in a way that he has, where it's like, yeah, you may be around all of this stuff. He knew one thing I really love about my pops, and I guess it's just a dedicated Father's Day episode. One thing I really love about my pops is like, and it's because he is a man, he knew and has known the right, or the most perfect and effective way to reach me and my brothers as a man. My mom was more of the disciplinary. She would yell, and most of my whoopings came from my mom. But when my dad would talk, Drew, most of my whoopings came from my mom.
From your mom. I was like,
came from my mom. But when dad would approach us, he would say something where he just got to say it one time. And he was a chill dude, like I said. He hardly ever raised his voice. He probably only yelled at me like maybe once or twice ever in like 23 years of living. But like the things that he was saying in such a chill manner would like stick for a lifetime, bro. So that's like, and I think about, some of the fellas that I'm close to now, like, Brandon, Allen, who's been on the show, some of our boys, Allen, Paulo, Antonio. And I was just thinking about it the other day, like, man, we all good dudes. We all have great heads on our shoulders. What's one of the many things we have in common? We all got fathers in the home.
Wow.
We all got pops. We all close to our dads, and we all, like, I was playing pool at Allen crib against Allen's pops. We was just at the Giants game with you and your family, Brandon. You and Allen, you already know my peoples and stuff like that. It's like, it makes a difference. And I feel like you may not catch the difference until you see some of it go away, when you like see people who grow up and don't have the fathers. It makes a huge difference. Like, I've known people who got into a lot of trouble, and if you trace it back, they father ain't there.
Yeah, that's true. He
either ran off, or he in jail, or it's just overall just not a good example. And I think that's one of the main things, the main like blessings of a godly father, is like, he teaches you in the way of God, and then obviously it's up to you to follow it and to keep your head on straight. But like, he's your father. From a man's perspective, he hits you at as a man that your mama can't necessarily connect with you with. You can get to connect to you in a way. You know what I mean? So that's that was my experiences. Like, you have commented about various, I guess, traits about me that you may like or may appreciate, and much of it I got from just watching my dad. I remember it was an ex I was dating at the time, and once she started like meeting some of the family back then, she got around my dad for the first few times, and then she was like, "You talk just like your dad." I would have never known. I would have never known. I always kind of thought I was kind of my own person. I am, but but she was like, "You sound just like your pops. Like, you talk like your dad. You carry yourself like your dad." I'm like, but yeah, fathers. That's the point. So that's why I want to do an episode like this, right? It's important to understand like the importance of fathers, the importance of a stand-up godly man in the house who cares for the family, who cares for the children, and is there to like, be a great example of how you should carry yourself and stuff like that. And this makes a big difference if the father's not there,
That's
bro.
true. And I really feel like a lot of people have identity crisis because the father isn't in the home. Yeah.
How so?
Like in the sense of, because like for myself, like I just, we all like all children go through like finding themselves.
Yeah.
But, I feel like when I think about a dad, I feel like he's kind of like when you go bowling and it's like the barricades, it's like you're going to get to where you're going. Like you're just not going to have to like go into the pit and like in the trenches and
It
stuff.
helps to keep you straight.
Yeah, it helps to keep you straight. And so it's just helps to keep you straight. So then it's like when the dad isn't there, like I feel like you just go through a lot more, like you just deal with a lot more things, and it's just you like figuring it all out because mom, for example, like specifically my mom, I'm like, she worked, like she didn't have the luxury of like being on like welfare for years and stuff. She's like, no, she has to work to like feed 6 mouths, like including her own. And so that being said, like there wasn't like she didn't have time for me. She didn't have time for myself. Like we would all hang out, but it's like I do feel like there's an importance of having that one-on-one time with your parent and like them pouring into you. And like we just didn't have that. And so a lot like so growing up, like I just like felt very alone growing up, and so like I just felt very alone growing up, and I felt like that made it harder because then I'm just like, dang, like, I cried a lot. Like, and I was just like, I'm not sure why I cried a lot, y'all. Like, I mean, like, it was to the point where you can even, like, raise your voice just a little bit. Like, once people were like, Mo, like, I would literally just be like, why are you yelling at me? Like, I just start crying because I'm just like, you don't, like, literally, I was like, I will do whatever you say. Like, please just don't raise your voice at me. Like, be kind to me. Be nice to me. And so, anyways, but I just feel that it took me a long time. Honestly, if I didn't find Jesus, like I have to really give glory to God because finding
the ultimate father.
Yeah, the ultimate father, really, the father of fathers, like a father to the fatherless. And so, because like if I really didn't come to the Lord, like I already know, like I'm not even gonna cap y'all, like I'd be wildin', like I would have just not cared and just like went crazy, like in all the ways, like I kid you not. But because like the Lord had took me out, like just really kept me from that lifestyle. Like I myself like didn't experience a lot of the things that everyone else experienced. And so, so like, honestly, like I'm blessed. Like I'm blessed. Like I'm not like other statistics or not in a rude way, but like I'm not one of the statistics because like Jesus found me. I say I found Jesus, but really Jesus found me, and I was never lost, like he saw me. But but because like I came to the Lord, like it just allowed me to have that structure and it, just to be around men who like are fathers, and like in a way like I was still being fathered, but it just wasn't by my own dad, but that doesn't mean that it hurt any less, and so that man.
Yeah.
Just like
it's the importance of a father. A father will save you from becoming a statistic. Look, man, I saw something, and this was very touching, because in a way it was it was absolutely a personal story to them, but it was someone that I know. This person had a child when they were young. Like, I think they said that they got the call that their girlfriend may be pregnant, ended up being pregnant when they were like 15, 16.
Oh my Lord.
This is a child having a child, pretty much. And you're a kid, 15, 16. The first thing that came to their mind was, but I'm just a child.
Yeah.
So they were like, at first, they was having those thoughts of like, nah, pretty much running away in a sense. And they said, this is a man speaking, and they said the thing that kept them online was their father. The thought that came to their mind was, my father never left me. Why would I do that to my child?
Wow.
and their father got them through that thing.
Wow.
That could have been a broken home.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they raised up a happy home and stuff like
amazing.
that, because with the inspiration and guidance of, of their father and their time of need, and who in a sense was kind of able to relate to that in a sense. But stuff like that, you don't think about stuff like that when you around peers who got a whole bunch of baby mama, baby daddy drama. You're not thinking about those kind of things. Was like, dang, maybe if their situation beforehand was straight, the route that they would take in life would be completely different, and the results of their choices would be completely different. Imagine if that person's father wasn't there.
Yeah.
That would have been another broken home, another deadbeat dad situation, another single mom, single parent at 15, 16.
Yeah.
That had just been like another one of those statistics. They probably would have been on government assistance. But his father helped him as a man and as a father, showed him the way to go, and encouraged him to stick with it. This is what you did. These are the results of your choices. We are men. We don't run from this. That's one of the many examples of having a stand-up father. To where, because, fathers can protect you from a lot, but they can't protect you from everything.
Yeah, that's true.
No one can protect you from everything.
Right.
But having them there to be that rock to lean on. Like, for example, like when I was, I've brought up my past relationship a lot when I was engaged. When I was engaged and we were having issues, I went to my father as a man. Talked to my mom a little bit, but I would go home and my mom would be home and I'd be like, where's Dad? Is he in the backyard? Pop, can you come in real quick? I need to talk with you. And it'd be me, my dad, and my older brother, and we would talk for hours about just marriage, relationship stuff, because that was all new to me. I engaged young age, had just turned 20. Yeah, had just turned 20, which means I had eyes on the girl when I was like 19. So young age and stuff like that. And my parents got married when they were young, like 20, 21, something like that. So I knew he could relate. So when it felt like it was my turn, where's my dad?
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, there's no telling how bad it could impact you.
Yeah.
And stuff that happens in your childhood, it carries on into your adulthood.
It does.
If you don't sort that out, next your kids are impacted. If you have kids, your children are impacted by it. And then it's just a cycle that keeps going and going, while a lot of parts of society are, glorifying the single parenthood, the baby mama. I can't tell you how many times fathers, in moments of the year when Father's Day will come up, and no hate on the single mothers, but Father's Day will come up, and then the single mothers would chime in and pretty much be like, in a sense, shout out to themselves for playing the role of father and mother for their child.
Yeah.
And it's like, mothers are mothers. They can try, but can't nobody be a father better than a man.
Yeah.
My mom was the disciplinary.
I know when you said that, I was like, what?
She yelled at us the most, but ain't nobody reached me like my father, who would only have to say a couple of words and would never have to raise his voice. Anytime he would come up to me, it's like, I need to talk to you for a minute. I knew I messed up. I knew I man. He wasn't the kind that'll go on forever and ever. I mean, he kind of would, but oftentimes he could just say a little bit. And I wouldn't even have to be in trouble. I never forget. I went on my very first date. It was in high school. It was my sophomore year. It's my first date, and took the girl to the movies, right?
Oh, to the movies?
Took the girl to the AMC movies before they closed it down. And I went, and my pops was like, all right, do the gentleman thing now. And that's all he had to say. And I was on my A game. I knew exactly what that meant as a man. Stuff like that. I can't tell you how many partners I've known who don't have that kind of father figure, who have treated women any kind of way. My dad would never. would never. We love y'all fathers out there.
Yeah.
Wasn't intended on this being like a Father's Day kind of special, and
But
especially,
I mean,
especially it coming out probably way after Father's Day. But you know, this is something I've noticed throughout the years. Like, yo, like there's a difference in between how me and my brothers carry ourselves, who have that happy home, that father in a home, that strong father, man of God, you know, teaching us God's way and just how to be men in today's world. I've noticed the difference over the years between us and then some of those who don't have that. And it's not just in the guys specifically who don't have that. I've noticed that difference in the girls who don't have that.
Yeah.
I've noticed that difference in the girls, and it runs deep, dog.
It does.
It runs deep. Man, this was nice. Did you have anything else?
Me? I'm like, no.
What's our run time, Rick? 36.
Oh, really? That's good. I feel like we should talk about this again, though.
We
I feel
absolutely
like there's a lot
should.
to unpack with that.
There's a lot more to this.
Maybe next time we can have guests, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can probably maybe I can bring my dad on.
Oh, that'd be so cool. You
That'd
should
be
do
dope.
that.
Yeah, because,
You should bring your mom, too. Maybe you could bring them both.
Yeah, they both come. They both, like, I know my dad.
Interview them and talk. That'd be really nice.
Yeah, I know for a fact my dad will say a lot about my grandfather. Like my grandfather was. I mean, I mentioned the degrees that he had. Talking about the same guy, same grandfather. Degrees, the Black Panther community activist, the
because that makes
pastor.
me curious of like how did your grandfather raise your dad, and like was it similar, or were there certain things that your dad did differently than your grandpa?
I'll leave that for my dad.
Yeah,
to say.
I know that's what I'm saying though, but that's why I was like, oh, I have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
So that's good.
But yeah, we appreciate y'all tuning in for this episode.
Thank you.
If you guys are, for us men out there who end up becoming fathers, do the right thing.
Yeah.
You know, don't run from that.
You know,
Be a father, be a man. You
Yeah.
know, raise these kids because it's too much of this horrible cycle of, you know, kids coming up without that or just coming up in broken homes in general, and then it's not good.
Come
bro.
on, and if you don't want kids, don't be a fool. Wrap your tool. Like that's all I'm being honest.
No, for
because
real.
like there's this I'm not gonna promote their podcast and stuff, but like there was just this point where there was this conversation being had on a podcast and they were like, yeah, anyways, I'm not even gonna say what they said actually. It was really bad. But
Not
seriously,
safe
don't
for
be
the
a fool, wrap
children.
your tool, ladies. Like use birth control, all the good things. Like, okay, if you don't want to bring kids into this world, you know, like I would say do the natural stuff. Like let's not, you know. I was gonna start saying more, but like I'm just gonna shut up.
Appreciate y'all for tuning
Love
in.
y'all, fam.
Hit them links in the descriptions. Drop comments about your experiences. I mean, this is coming out way after Father's Day, but I mean, if you got a dope memory you want to share about your pops or a dope,
so dope memories,
or
I'm just being honest. Like,
share what you're
wanna
comfortable with
share.
sharing. You know, or a dope, or just something you want to share. If maybe you are a dad and you want to share something from a father's perspective.
Yeah. Maybe you grew up without a dad and you're just like, you know what, it was actually different. Maybe like an uncle took over or something, so you still have that father figure in your life, and vice versa. So yeah, share.
Maybe you grew up without a dad and became a dad.
Yeah, how was that? How was parenting?
That was actually my grandfather.
Child. Oh, really? I was gonna stop. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Grew up without a dad and then had my dad.
Wow.
But yeah, tune in to the next episode, y'all.
Bye.